In this lesson, I'm going to talk about the concept of strings in Java, and they're widely used in Java programming, and they're simply a sequence of characters. So within the Java programming language, for example, strings are considered objects. The Java platform itself provides the string class to create and manipulate strings. So as with any other object, for example, you can always create string objects by using the new keyword and a constructor. The string class has about 13 constructors that allow you to provide the initial value of the string using different sources, such as an array of characters, as an example. And it's important to note that this string class is immutable. In other words, you cannot change once it is created as a string object. And there are different methods we can use with strings as well. So next, let me demonstrate different ways we can manipulate and work with strings in Java. So let's open up our Java Eclipse editor. So once we're in the Eclipse editor, let me go ahead and expand the Java introduction package here and take a look at, in fact, create a new class. So let me go ahead and simply right click on new. And I'm going to go ahead and choose class. This opens up the new Java class window, and I'm going to call it my string and simply click finish. And it creates a public class automatically as my string, because recall the rule says that whatever you name your class, your public class also must contain the same name, otherwise the code is not going to run. So I already have my public class, my string. I can of course go up here and place a comment. So recall from earlier lesson is / the asterisk, learning the concept of using strings in Java. The comment placed here. Perfect. So once I have the public class called my string, and after the curly braces, I'm going to set some properties for this public, static, void, and then main. Let's call it string, and then our command line argument. Open our curly braces one more time, and this is where we'll start to begin setting up our variables. So here, for instance, I'm going to have integer. I'm going to call it myInt equals, say, 7. And next, I'm going to say something like string text equals Java. We can also use the string as blank. So this would equal, in quotation, just a blank space. A semicolon. Let's go to the next line. We can also use string as a name, for example. So name equals, say, John. Additionally, we can use string greeting, and this could equal, let's say, text, and you can add to it. So just use the plus sign plus the blank plus name. So essentially, in this particular line, this variable string greeting would equal text variable plus the blank variable plus the name variable. And you'll notice once I run this in the output, the string greeting would simply pick up the Java and a blank space and then write John. So in other words, we can use the operators like plus sign to join strings together and different variables. So let me go ahead, in fact, and do a print here. So I'm going to say system.out.print. And let's print greeting. Let's go ahead and let me print out the system.out.print. And here I can also use, for example, I can say Java. I can also concatenate and use the plus sign and then put a space here, for example, in quotation, put another plus sign, and then use the name John as well. So different ways, notice, as you can manipulate these strings. We can also print out these strings with integers. So for example, if I were to do something like system.out.print, and I'm going to say my integer is colon space plus my int, right? And that's the variable that we have defined in our first line, which is 7. So here, if I say my int, it's going to print out the value of 7. So again, notice as we're manipulating these strings, working with different types of strings, you can generate the output as per your own requirement. Let me go ahead and in fact do another one here. do a variable double. I'm going to call it my double equals just a number 5.5. And let me do a printout here. So system.out.print, and I'm going to call it my number is, or a quotation, and then concatenate, and I'm going to put my double here plus a period. So whatever you do, we need to make sure that it's in quotations, right? So strings, anything in quotations would be considered as string by Java. And let me go ahead and fix the syntax error. Make sure I have my semicolon here and remove this semicolon. In fact, there'll be a quotation. So my number is perfect. So once we have our class created, let me go ahead and run this. Brings up the save and launch window. It's mystring.java. Click OK. And in the output console, notice it'll say Java as my first output. Then there's a space, blank, and then the name. So it'll be Java John, Java space John rather, and this is the print output that you see on the bottom. And then it prints out my integer is, so it says my integer is 7, because notice my integer is in text, and then it simply adds, right, concatenates my int, which is again defined up here, which is 7. So what Java is essentially doing is simply printing out what you're asking it to print. And lastly here says my number is my double, which means once you get the printout, it says my number is 5.5 with a period at the end because we wanted to place this. And my double is defined as or contains the data value of 5.5. So this way you can manipulate strings. You can add two variables together. You can use any other operators as well. So for example, if you want to multiply, you could do so. So practice using strings in Java. Hope this helps. Let's move to the next lesson.